And you'll hear people talk about having clister skis, and clister skis are skis that have a higher camber, not necessarily longer camber, but the profile of that camber, it's a little bit higher because clister goes on thicker than kick wax. So you'll see people, and you can spend a lot of money, not at this shop, but other shops that will flex your skis and put all these marks on. And you'll see race skis with like 20 little marks, and it is a complete waste of time because everyone puts wax on differently. So it just depends on all those factors. You don't need to get carried away with all those marks. I mean, you want to know where your kick zone is, but you don't need 30 marks. It's a little bit extreme. Common sense, when you're doing kick wax, when you're doing hard wax, your ski has that second camber is like a bell. I'm exaggerating how high it is, but as you add layers, that's going into where that flat surface meets the surface of the ski of the snow. So if you add too much kick wax, you're adding 5 or 6 layers of kick wax. You just you don't want to carry it away. You don't need to measure it, but just common sense. Just kind of step back when you add your 3rd, 4th, and 5th layer. It's not worth freaking out about. You just figure it out as you work with your skis. The more you work with this stuff, clister and hard wax, the better off you are. We had an interesting weekend at the Bill Koch Fest in New Hampshire, and yeah, people were figuring things out.
Wait, what happened?
Weather, really extreme weather. Yeah, really. Yeah.
Rain, snow.
Yeah. They literally had the hardest day you could ever have for a kicking day.
Changed every half hour.
Yeah, I heard some pretty confident people who were waxing, like it was changing every 15 minutes. So.
That's like the waxes say.
Well, yeah, it was funny. I was with some of the athletes at Rangeley, and then some of the parents were coming up really upset, and they're like, "Wow, you wish you were here yesterday. We couldn't figure it out." And I was like, we had it all figured out with the syntax. So they didn't like that. I thought it was funny. But yeah, so that's it, you guys. Just know that spray binder clister is a really cutting edge product that will make your job as a coach so much easier. And we're using it into the ultra distance events. That's what we're using.
Okay, so that's pretty key to know it's as good as the tube. I thought it was like a quick and dirty way to
No, I'll give you my 20 if you want it. Yeah, because I don't use it.
That's okay.
Yeah, this is just so much easier.
Yeah,
it's so much easier. I don't have to, work my hand on here. I don't have to get a heat source. So
you don't ever put your hard wax base on top of the clister?
I don't.
Base.
No.
Okay.
I don't.
You just use the clister base or the hard wax base.
Exactly.
Do you ever try it?
Some guys are running hard wax on this clister binder.
Yeah. No, you're talking about just hard wax. But what about a hard wax?
No, I think you're just throwing money out the door on that. I don't think there's going to be.
That's durable enough with just that little spray.
Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah.
And the other thing you mentioned, with each consecutive layer that you're going short.
Right.
I was always taught old school.
Yeah.
The TLC method, thicker, longer, change. Okay?
Yeah.
That you go with a longer wax pocket if the kids were slipping.
Well, I mean, there's also go a little warmer if the kids are slipping
right,
too.
And that's the change part.
Right.
But if it's, let's say you have blue on, it's not really working, but it's sort of working.
Right.
You go a little bit longer with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the thing with the longer is, you're right, but like these guys know their skis, so I'm not going to go longer than what a ski's flexed for. You tracking?
Yeah.
Whereas some of your kids, these were my brother's skis, my mom's,
right.
and you don't know 30 kids' skis. So yeah, you're slipping,
right.
You know that the wax is there, temperature-wise, because you
Yeah.
skied it yourself. Sure, go a little longer.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the regular kids. Not like I know,
Yeah.
like Robin and Ryan.
Right.
Like I would put wax on his skis the same as everybody. You say take it off.
Right. Right.
But everybody else say, oh, I'm still slipping.
Right.
So you'd have to put more on.
Yep.
But
Yep. No, and that's because there's a lot going on with what you guys are doing. You guys have a hard job.
Yeah.
Because those kids don't know their skis necessarily.
It's totally different between working with someone who knows their skis and like someone who comes in at traps and says, like, you know, today it was like, you just got a clister, you know, you just got a clister. And someone comes in and says they're slipping, you put a red clister on there, oh, I'm still slipping, you're just gonna make it longer.
Yeah.
Because you know that's what they need.
Yeah.
So, because they're not worried about the glide, they wanna get to the cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other, I just want to throw this out. So we talked about some overlays, and we're not trying to get technical. So you've got, you know, clister days, you've got hard wax days, and then you've got those days where it's clister and then it snows a ½ inch of snow. So just enough to kind of make it not either of them clearly, and then that gets tilled into the race course. So what happens is it's still icy underneath, there's something extreme underneath, and then what we talk about is using a hard wax overlay that keeps that clister, whatever the race clister of the day is, from slowing in the fresh snow. Because remember, we don't want, clister doesn't work in new fresh snow per se, it's more for extremes. A lot of times these ice clisters, if they're exposed to some new snow, you'll hear people say it's icing up or clumping up, and underneath the kick zone you'll literally see the snow parked right here, and it inhibits glide. So what we do, our trick is we just put, once that clister is cold and flat and set up, we'll just put one layer of the appropriate kick wax over it, and that just keeps it from icing. So.
But that's probably only good for a short distance if you were doing a marathon-like race with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you were doing a marathon, you know, you'd want to have your drink belt, you'd want to have a couple of little things in there to work through it. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
You do want a sanded base before the base clister binder.
Yeah, you can do the sanded base. I don't. This one I actually did, but I've been testing a lot of how long and how durable they are. And actually, my skis I've been running really well without even sanding them. But what Robin's saying, it's never going to hurt you. You can also sand your kick zone once you figure out what the camber is. You can make that base material more abrasive. Just in the kick area where you want things to be grippy and have have some traction. You can use like 100 grit sandpaper and just rough that up lightly. You don't want to get carried away. Use a flat block, something that's true, and you just want to rough that base up. So that also will help that binder, whatever the binder is, adhere to the base in that kick zone. We also, some of you guys that are more knowledgeable, you hear talk about zero skis or rubber skis. Same thing, we're actually just kicking on a certain material. It's a different material in that kick zone, and we change that material with different grits, sandpaper. So we usually start at a 100 grit, and then we'll go either direction of that by 20 grits. So kind of a little bit more technical specialty ski thing, but that's another area where you would use sandpaper underneath your kick zone.